Hadleigh Pouesi is a big mover and shaker in the New Zealand hip-hop dance scene. Welcome. Kia ora. Lovely to have you here, Hadleigh.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about battleZone. Is it a kind of Game of Thrones on the dance floor, or are we dancing to the death? Where are we going with this?
It is an experience. So battleZone has been around for the last 4 years, and it came from the love of old school dance movies. You Got Served, Step Up, and looking around saying, man, New Zealand's got some really awesome dancers, but where can we get that kind of battle environment?
And how did you come into this whole area? Because dance has been such a crucial part of your life for well over a decade, hasn't it?
Yeah, well over a decade. You know what? When I was growing up, dance was not something that guys would get into.
Yeah.
And so actually what happened was that I was sitting in assembly at high school, and I went to an all-boys school, and they had auditions for the dance team. And I'm a rugby league player. So
what school were you at?
I was at Kelston Boys.
Out west.
Yeah, out west. Westy hard.
Have to be hard.
Yeah.
Not really.
And so my teammates were saying, hey, I bet you can't go for the dance audition, you know, because no guys used to dance back then. I said, no, you know what, I could do it. I could give that a go. 15, 16 years later, I'm still doing it. It just took over everything that I loved. It took over my love of sport. It took over everything. And so it actually changed my life. It fully transformed the trajectory that I was on.
And that's hip hop. What do you think is in it? Because it seems to really, particularly for girls as well, but for young guys who sometimes could look at maybe going off the rails, it seems to bring them right back into engaging with life. What is it about hip hop?
You know what? It's hip hop as a culture. It's not just hip hop as a dance form. I think the culture really resonates with Pacific and Māori. You know, there's something in the struggle of where hip hop came from, the struggle of where hip hop was birthed, that resonates with tangata whenua and newcomers from the islands. You know, it's like, man, we have to fight for everything that we have. We have to really struggle to make it here. And hip hop, the words of hip hop, the feeling of hip hop, the beats of hip hop, the rhythm of hip hop, it resonates so well with how we've grown up.
And it gives power back, doesn't it?
100%.
Strength back in their bodies instead of, like, I guess a lot of these young guys who are training hard, they wouldn't want to do the drugs and the drink, because why would you? It's going to make your dance so much worse the next day, isn't it?
Well, you're really, for the dancing side of it, you're an athlete.
Absolutely.
You are an absolute top tier athlete if you're doing it at a high level.
I'm going to interview one of your dancers,
Cool.
Zhan. But he'll be dancing at the end, and I have seen him dance, and I thought he is an absolutely powerful athlete.
100%.
The way the body's moved in this it's every muscle, it looks like,
every
isn't it?
muscle, like it is a full body workout.
So you then went into full-on training at a young age.
Yeah.
And it was all your motivation?
Yeah, I think, again, it just the culture and the vibe resonated with us so well. So there was a couple of us back when I first started, there was a couple of us that really connected to it and said, hey, why don't we start a crew? Why don't we do what we see on the movies and start a team, you know? And back then this was unheard of, you know. There was no guy dancers, and two, if you started a hip hop crew, you know, you were just a wannabe African-American culture stealer. But we made something of it, and we made it New Zealand, and we made it Pacific, and then we went out and told the world our story.
And what was that crew called?
It was called Sweet and Sour. And it's funny, man. Like, people always ask, where did that name come from? It was actually that when we started training, we trained at one of our guys' houses. His mum would always come in with a tray of sweet and sour at the end, because it's a cheap food that feeds everybody. And so we're trying to think of, like, what's our crew name? Why don't we just call ourselves Sweet and Sour?
Why don't we call ourselves what we eat?
Yeah. And so we thought of it as a joke, and it stuck.
That's really good. You really went on to nail it on the world scene. You brought back New Zealand's first gold from Las Vegas, from the World Hip Hop Champs. Tell me about that. What was that like, that competition?
Yeah, I mean,
against the best in the world.
Against the best in the world.
What year was that?
2008. 2008, we went over, and you know, it cost us like $50,000 to get over from Kelston to Las Vegas. I don't know how we got that money. I know that we were outside shopping centers. We were performing at 21st and weddings and anywhere that we could get a little bit of money to go towards this trip. We were out there grinding. And so by the time we finally was able to get that fund to make it over, we thought, hey, we've worked so hard, we need to make the most of this. And so we just worked and trained and trained. We lived dance, we breathed dance. Everything was about this goal. And then we were lucky enough to bring back the world championship.
Did you believe you could do it when you went over there?
You know what? I don't think we did, because it's such a massive thing. You're going from Kelston, this low socioeconomic area in West Auckland, and we're going over to face the people that we would look up to. We're facing the people that we would YouTube every day after school.
Name some names there. What are some of the ones that you really...
Kaba Modern and Keone Madrid, and the people that are really big in the dance scene now. And we're going over there to go up against them.
And you guys had no family money behind any of you. In fact, a lot of you... There's a lot of suffering. I want to get to that when we're talking about the centre you're managing, which is a youth centre. But there's a lot of suffering out in West Auckland, and there's a lot 100%. Of deprivation. And you did it all from backgrounds that had no daddy money coming in behind you.
Not at all. Not a single cent. Like you're saying that we didn't have any parent money. We didn't have many parents. There's single families. There's one of our guys, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing, one of our guys a couple of weeks before we flew out got into a fight and got stabbed. Like someone rocks up to the house and stabs him. It's like, these are the kinds of situations that we're living. Amazing. And it's like, well, hey, if we can overcome this, if we can overcome all of the adversity that we've gotten to get here, then what's a dance competition? What's
and puts it in perspective.
Yeah. And so we're walking through like the competition in Las Vegas, and people are looking at us like we're tourists and that we're a rugby team, because we're all pretty stocked up guys. We don't look like dancers. And then we hit the stage and blow everyone away and come back with the gold.
What do you think was the whole Pacifica style of hip hop? Was that something that really blew them away as well? It's different from the American style. How is it different?
I think for Pacific culture, we have a certain rhythm that we're born with, you know? We naturally...
With the haka
with the movements that we get from Samoa, from the Cook Islands, and we just merge all of that together. Yeah. And we say, hey, we can do the hip hop stuff, and here's the Pacific sauce that we're going to put on top of it that none of you can do. We're just going to bring it because it's our own.
And then it's that joy that I've often seen in Pacifica dances. There seems such a joy.
And there's this really fine balance of joy and aggression.
Yes.
That it's just, and then you put hip hop on top of that, and it's such a roller coaster.
So what was it like when you won? How did your life change from that gold medal?
Drastic. Like we were back and forth to LA. We were all over Australia. We ended up touring South Africa, touring throughout the islands. There's about a 3-year roller coaster cycle of just constantly on the road, performing with some of the people that we've always looked up to, going on tour with some American like top tier artists that are just like, we just had to stop and go, what are we doing? What is life right now?
Can you name some names there?
Boys to Men. Some of us did some work with Busta Rhymes. Just some of the top hip hop acts. And they were calling New Zealand and saying, hey, we want those movers to come on tour with us. So it fully changed everything. It fully changed the perception of life.
And was money flowing in at the same time?
No.
Well, that's still we want you, but we're not going to give you the big dollars.
I mean, there's enough to see us through while we're on tour, and I think that's the landscape of dance now. Still, we're still trying to scrape into the space where we have a voice, and so for us, we were making enough to see us from week to week, but none of us we're looking at buying houses or anything like that. So it got to a point where it's like, hey, we want to start families and we want to settle down. And so a lot of us decided, let's go back to New Zealand and try and replicate the experiences that we have with another generation.
And then, as well as that, let's set off and drop a name in here of Paris. Paris was part of this crew, so she's, you know her well.
Yeah. So Paris she was part of our sister crew. So any performance that we would go to, she was there too, and we're really close, and still are, we're still really close in the community of hip hop. She has her role as kind of the flag the flag waver for New Zealand on a world stage. And the platform that she's been able to provide for New Zealand dancers is absolutely phenomenal. And it's cool to know that there's still a connection between grassroots and all the way up now to an absolute megastar who's choreographing for the Super Bowl.
Yes,
you know?
or Beyonce or Rihanna.
Beyonce. Yeah.
So can you get some of your dancers fed into that kind of beautiful stream up to that world
Yeah, well,
stage?
what I love about New Zealand is that it's all about relationship. You know, and that's what makes New Zealand New Zealand, and what makes New Zealand separate from Hollywood is that it's all about relationships. So if there's people that we're working with on a ground level who let me know like, hey, I really want to get into backup dancing, or I'd really love to go and dance with Rihanna, then it's about sorting out a plan, bringing in the Parises, bringing in the Kyle Tutons and all of these choreographers who are working at an international level and going, hey, there's some people right here on the ground that could be of huge value to what you're doing on a global scale.
So Zhan, who we're going to see dancing at the end of this interview, he's someone that you would feed in because his dancing 100%. Is exceptional. I was absolutely blown away when I saw him.
Yeah, I mean, for such a young dude and the level of skill that he holds, his future is looking very, very bright.
He might be backing Beyonce.
Who knows? I hope so. I hope so.
He
Hopefully he still remembers me when he's up there.
And now we come back. Now we come back to what brought you back to New Zealand, because here it is, all this seduction. There is a seductive side 100%. To the ego and the fame coming and mixing with famous people, but something in the souls of many of your crew said, "Yeah, it's good, but home might be better." What was it? What was it that brought you here?
I think there was a time and a space where I just wanted more. And I wanted, for me, West Auckland is home.
Beautiful.
You know, West Auckland is home, and I would come home and I would see that my home is hurting, and that hip-hop, dance, and creative arts in general, it could be a huge remedy to that. So for me, it was coming back and going and visiting schools and saying, hey, I'm here. How can I help?
So there was that call that I could give something back.
100%.
What did you mean my home is hurting? What were you seeing? What do you still see out in West Auckland?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's what I still see. It's the narrative that West Auckland and South Auckland get in the media. You know, it's not something just put up there. It's real. We're on the streets dealing with extreme poverty. We're on the streets dealing with extreme struggle. COVID hasn't helped that at all. And so what's a way that gives young people a release? What's a way that gives young people hope? For me, the vehicle I choose to use is the creative arts.
So tell me about the wonderful youth centre you run. You're the manager of it.
Yeah.
It sounds incredible. What's it called?
Yes, Zeal
West.
Zeal West.
Yeah, and what do you provide?
Yeah, so we use creative arts as a vehicle for youth development. We've got one of the biggest youth centres in all of New Zealand.
Wow. And you've got a recording studio there.
Recording studios. We've got recording studios, we've got dance studios, we've got an auditorium for all ages concerts, we've got a cafe, we've got a barbershop. We're really, really blessed. I'm naming these things off, but we're really blessed to be able to have that, and I know that I'm blessed to be able to facilitate that space for my community.
Hadleigh, what do you think it does for a child who is in a really unstable home, maybe with parents hugely under financial stress, maybe drinking, threatening? What does it do to walk into that place? You know
what it is? Our goal is to provide a space of belonging for young people. Young people can't guarantee, West Auckland young people can't guarantee that home is that place of belonging. We can't guarantee that home is the place of safety. And so for us, even though we've got all of this flash stuff and all of these amazing resources, our heart is to create a place of belonging and a place that young people know that they can come to.
And you see them blossom?
Yeah, 100%.
Confidence?
100%, yeah.
What is it? Confidence, community, safety, all of those things?
I think it's all a part of the circle of courage. It's all a part of the circle of mana and building up people to a space of independence.
You must love your life.
Oh, I wake up every morning excited to go to work.
I want to quick mention here, you were mentored when you were young by Tamati Coffee, weren't you?
Yeah. So Tamati Coffee and me, we actually crossed paths at high school. He was studying law at the University of Auckland, and there was this program that actually still runs today called the MATES program, where they take someone from university and match them up with somebody showing leadership potential, I guess, in high school. And so I had Tamati Coffee, who went on to do What Now and Good Morning and is now the Labour MP. And so I've had this person in front of me leading the way, really, and showing me that even though you're Māori or Pacific, you can achieve your dreams. And I remember being mentored by him, and he would say, like, I really want to get into TV. I really want to get into media. And for me, yeah, cool, all good, but that's probably not a reality. And then the next year, he's the host of What Now? I'm like, man, if he can do it, I was just with him.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you are now handing those beautiful gifts on to another generation.
Trying to, 100%.
Hadleigh, it's been just a joy to talk to you, and I love to hear what you're doing. Keep that mahi, that beautiful wairo, that beautiful spirit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora. Zhan Teiho is going to be part of the freshmen's dance group, and you will see him dance at the end of this interview. And when he dances, it's absolutely extraordinary. Kia ora, Zhan.
Thank you.
I was blown away. We pre-recorded the dance piece, and I honestly thought he's a Nureyev of hip hop. And you probably don't. Rudolf Nureyev was a famous ballet dancer, but super powerful. The strength in your body that it takes to do all those tiny popping movements.
Yeah.
How do you make it look so easy?
For me, it was just years of like developing my movement, just like trying to find my style and how I move and how like my body shape kind of like works. Even though, I kind of switched weights, but kind of adjusted to how I wanted to move. So
tell me more about that. Show me a little movement, even just sitting there. Say, just can you do a little movement?
Just like lines, like trying to find like shapes for like whatever, I don't know. It's like
it's really like isolating each little part of the body, isn't it?
So there's like my thinking process is more just like, okay, so I have one frame, and how can I change the frame from one frame to another, but it making sense to like, because I don't want to be here and then be like,
no,
like it doesn't make sense. Like it's just got to be, solidified or
It's absolutely amazing, because you must have to break it right down to its parts. But to get it looking so smooth and so effortless, because I was watching and thinking, he makes it look so easy. I think I could do that. And then afterwards I was thinking, I don't think I could do that. So to make it look so effortless, you must practice for hours and hours, I bet.
I basically just, whenever I'm at home, I just chuck on music and I just be me, just be free, just let my body do what I listen to. I react off of it. So
So it's not pre-thought. The dance we saw that we pre-recorded that we're going to see at the end of this interview, you were literally making those movements as you felt the music. That is just extraordinary. So when you're there, it's like a meditation. You're kind of, the world goes away. You're just so fully in the dance.
Yeah, it's like an escape from reality. It's just like you're just in the music, and then once the music's turned off, you're back.
You must love it. It must be like this place you just fly. You're in the zone.
It's an awesome feeling.
You started at 11, but you really got serious about it because you were a sportsman, weren't you? You did soccer and basketball.
I was really into my sports more. Dance was just kind of a thing, just because a family friend of mine was just like, I looked up to it. Was like, well, that's cool. Like, I want to try that. But I tried it, but didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. Whereas my sports, I had, more fun in it. I had already been playing it longer than I had been dancing. So.
And you were good at it.
Yeah.
Were you intimidated when you saw how good some of the other dancers were and you thought, how would I ever do that?
I was always the kid at the back of the classroom, just learning the choreography and just, sitting there. Just, I wasn't like trying to put myself forward as much as I am now. So I guess the improvement from there to here, I see it, but I guess I don't appreciate it as much as I do. But with a question like that, it's like, got me thinking,
When did you really start to want to train in it, and you saw soccer receding and basketball going into the background? When it was like a love.
I guess more so when I got into high school. So I guess I kind of gave up sports to try it more in school.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gave up soccer then, and I kept playing basketball. Played basketball for high school, but then at the end of the year, I actually did production. So that was kind of the start towards the dance journey, and then.
Production, meaning you were putting dancers together?
Yeah, so they were getting some dancers, because I was taking, for my option was dance. So I was like, this will be a fun subject to do at school. So
thank you. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Kia ora. Yeah, beautiful talent.
If I get too high now, she could come on. I might never come down. you can say that. But you rather take your bank, roll to Rodeo, let her raid that. Now tell them hell no, middle finger, the COINTELPRO. Sticking to the real like it's Velcro. What other country can you sell blow? And for less than a kilogram, you get an elbow. I'm getting you might never, ever come down. It took too long to get this high off the ground. Don't run, just stay a while. You might never, ever come down.
It really is an amazing place for young people to come to. You feel the sort of loving environment that you're in a place where people won't judge you, and a place where you will have friends and family.
It's not as simple as saying this is just some space outside of school. We're given a chance to not only learn about things, but I'm here, I learn real skills that I can put into the real world, and I don't feel pressured to learn it. I'm here because I want to.
Well, they give us an opportunity to make music, and they give us the space to be creative and do what we please while we're here, as long as we're doing work. But like productive creativity, but also to feel accepted.
Once you become a part of this place, like you're always a part of it.
I'd describe Zeal as a family, pretty much, just a place where you can be yourself.
I think when young people are kind of listened to, they kind of really pick up on that, and they know that, wow, this person's actually paying attention to me, and what I'm saying really matters.
It's not youth worker and young person, but when you're journeying with someone, you're walking at eye level with each other.
Young people are looking for a place of belonging, and for so many of our young people, society is labelling them. Young people feel like they're treated as a problem to be solved, not potential to be harnessed. So Zeal's a bunch of creative youth workers that are committed to developing young people through creativity. We're a national organisation, and we set up urban youth facilities that are creative hubs and homes for young people.
We run creative development pathways including photography, film, art and design, sound and tech, social marketing, events management and barista, which connects with our social enterprise cafes that offer first-time employment.
What Zeal does that's really special is we bring in industry standard volunteers to train young people not to just be good within Zeal, but to be good, period.
It just took me out of this place where I was feeling completely like helpless and useless. It gave me heaps of confidence and gave me something that I'm passionate about.
When I met Levi, he was 15 years old and he was actually living under a bridge nearby. And now this guy, he's a youth worker, he's an amazing young man, he's an amazing musician, you know, and I've just seen him kind of come alive.
The ethos that underpins what we're doing is really the sense that you're a citizen, you belong here, and you're important, your life matters.
I think that combination of being given a platform of belonging alongside a gift and a skill that you know you're exceptional at is just such a powerful combination that sits at the heart of what Zeal is.
We run social media pages, we were delivering content all the time. We make things like documentaries. We have the Live for Tomorrow chapters, which are in-school groups of young people passionate about making their school a more inclusive, empathetic environment.
And we're also New Zealand's largest underage events promoter.
Our team is coming up with crazy innovative ideas that could blow half of New Zealand away. The thing that Zeal's short of is resource.
The more that you're willing to support Zeal, the more that they can help us out.
Pushing young people to be the future of the world, why wouldn't you support that? You know, you're supporting your future.
Zeal's just this big warm blanket of awesome that just wraps around your community, and it's like, yes.
So an individual like you making a contribution to an organisation like Zeal enables us to reach more New Zealand young people, and that is immensely valuable to us.